He who becomes a master of dissimulation will always find those willing to be deceived. Niccolo Machiavelli, you've been betrayed. They told you to bare your soul, to chase her with unrelenting devotion, to make her your everything. But what if every offering of your heart carved away your own existence? Picture a man alone staring at his phone, its cold blue glow taunting him with her unread messages. Each unanswered text is a blade, each silence a judgment. This isn't love, it's surrender. Here we don't cloak pain in roses, we expose it, we let it sear. Machiavelli pierced the veil of virtue. He wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Power isn't your essence, it's your projection. Women don't yearn for your vulnerability. They crave the man who appears unbreakable. This truth isn't a balm, it's a weapon. Will you grasp it? Subscribe to Philosoul not for solace, but to confront the flames. You thought she was your mirror, showing you your worth. You were mistaken. She was a maze, and every move you made, every hasty text, every weightless compliment, every time you placed her above your own soul, pulled you deeper into shadow. You sat alone, clutching your phone, its blue light a merciless spotlight on her silence. Each ignored message was a whip, each unanswered call a sentence. You called it love, but it was obsession, a leash you crafted with your own shaking hands. You replayed her last words, her fleeting smile, convincing yourself more effort would unlock her heart. You sent another text, then another, each one a veiled plea dressed as charm. You offered your time, your dreams, your pride, believing she'd see your sacrifice. But she saw a man unraveling, a beggar who needed her more than he needed himself. Every act of devotion raised a barrier between you, each surrender tightening the leash around your neck. You checked your phone again, pulse racing, only to face the same barren screen, a void that mirrored your own. You planned grand gestures, a surprise gift, a heartfelt letter, a late-night call to clear things up. You thought these would prove your value, but they only exposed your desperation. You stayed awake, scouring her social media, decoding her vague posts, hunting for hints of her heart. Each click deepened the maze, each moment chasing her stole a piece of yourself. You didn't see it then. The more you gave, the less you kept. You were draining your spirit, pouring it into a vessel that couldn't contain it. Women are wired for strength, not spite. Their instincts seek a man who radiates security status, certainty, a guardian against the world's chaos. Your neediness was a primal alarm, like a wounded creature's cry. It signaled weakness, sparking her retreat. Her silence wasn't personal. It was her biology rejecting a man too frail to face the storm. Every desperate act taught her to see you as lesser. You became a servant, not a sovereign in her eyes. The more you pursued, the further she withdrew, her subconscious branding your eagerness as worthless. You thought persistence was strength, but it bore a void, an emptiness you hoped she'd fill. Each unanswered text eroded your presence, turning you into a phantom, haunting her inbox, a shadow of the man you might have been. You made her your deity, kneeling at her shrine, offering your dignity, your purpose, your soul. No woman respects a man who exalts her above himself. She craves the man who kneels only to his own mission, whose spirit is rooted in something greater than her fleeting nod. By making her the center of your cosmos, you lost your orbit adrift in the abyss of her indifference. What if love was never a haven, only a trial? What if every silence was her asking, "Are you whole without me?" You didn't see the snare. You thought her distance was a riddle to solve, a challenge to conquer with more effort. You doubled down, crafting longer messages, plotting grander gestures, believing proof of your worth would bring her back. You lay awake, replaying every exchange, searching for your misstep. But the maze only darkened, its walls closing in. You didn't realize you were starving yourself, sacrificing your strength for a mirage. The leash wasn't just a metaphor, it was your truth, a chain you wore willingly, each link forged in desperation. Her distance deepened and confusion swallowed you. You thought more words, more gifts, more openness would close the gap. You were wrong. Every step toward her was a step away from yourself. Nietzsche warned, "That which is done out of love always takes place beyond good and evil." Your love wasn't noble. It was naive, a forfeiture of your throne for a fleeting glimpse of her approval. You stood at the edge of her world, pleading for entry blind to the kingdom you'd forsaken. You tried to explain yourself, to justify your heart, to make her see. You sent paragraphs bearing your soul, each line a cry for mercy. You thought clarity would win her, but each word was a confession of frailty, each explanation a fracture in your armor. Her silences, her curt replies, her sudden chill, they weren't a chance. They were tests, probes, to gauge your strength, and you failed them by reacting, by chasing, by flooding the void with your own panic. You called her voice quaking, craving warmth, but met only a barrier, her tone flat, her words remote. You reshaped yourself, molding to what you thought she desired. You dulled your edges, silenced your wants, tailored your life to her frame. You abandoned your goals, your passions, your bonds, believing prioritizing her would make you essential. But the more you bent to her, the less she saw you. You became a stranger not just to her, but to yourself. You gazed in the mirror, seeking the man you once were, but found only a silhouette, a shadow carved by her indifference. The confusion wasn't just here, it was yours, lost in the maze your path obscured. Her tests are primal, rooted in the need to find the unyielding. A man who flinches under pressure, who scrambles to appease, fails the ancient code. She doesn't want your apologies or promises. She wants the man who stands resolute, whose presence is a bulwark against her chaos. Your eagerness to mend things signaled instability, a flaw in the foundation she seeks. Your panic painted you as rootless. You spoke too much, explained too fast, chased too fiercely. Each reaction screamed, "I am not enough." She felt it before she knew it, her mind marking your urgency as a lack of worth. You became a riddle she no longer cared to unravel, a book too open to captivate. You traded your throne for her validation. A king does not beg, he commands. But you forgot your crown, kneeling to her whims. Your soul, once ablaze, faded to embers, its heat wasted on one who couldn't feel it. You sought her light, but in doing so, you snuffed out your own. The leash tightens, it knots your own work. The throne you left stands empty, a monument to the sovereignty you abandoned. You tried to foresee her needs, to outpace her tests. You studied her moods, tempered your tone, trod lightly to avoid her displeasure. You thought this was love, serving her, proving your devotion. But it was servitude, a slow erasure of your will. You lost sleep, your mind churning. What did I miss? How can I fix this? You didn't see the problem wasn't her. It was you forsaking your throne, trading your power for a chance at her fleeting favor. The maze was no longer a path, it was a cage, and you were its builder. You erased yourself. You shared every fear, every hope, every fracture in your soul, believing openness would bind her to you. You were wrong. Emotional exposure without restraint is not intimacy, it's chaos. The man who reveals all loses his enigma, his allure, replaced by pity. You thought vulnerability was a bridge, but it was an abyss, and you plunged alone, your voice echoing in the dark. You bared your insecurities, hoping she'd hold them. You confessed your doubts, your failures, thinking she'd admire your candor. You laid your heart bare, believing it would tether her. But each revelation was a wound. You tore open each confession, a burden you placed on her. She didn't want to bear your weight. She wanted a man who bore his own. Your transparency didn't draw her near. It repelled her, her instincts shunning the man who unraveled before her. You stood exposed, expecting love, but found only distance. Her gaze cold, her words clipped. You stopped living for yourself. Your days bent to her moods, your nights haunted by her silence. You dissected her every word, her every glance, searching for keys to win her back. You reshaped your schedule to be free, canceled plans to await her call, let your ambitions wither, to prioritize her whims. The man you were, the one with dreams with fire, faded into a specter, defined by absence, dissolved in the acid of her indifference. You became a shadow, a reflection of her desires, no longer a man, but a plea. Mystery fuels desire. Her mind is wired to chase the unknown, to crave the man she cannot fully chart. Your openness killed her curiosity, leaving nothing to pursue. Like a predator losing interest in prey that no longer flees, she turned away her instincts, seeking a challenge you no longer posed. You became predictable, a book read end to end. Every compliment was charity, every text a supplication. She didn't ghost you because you were weak. She ghosted you because you made her your compass, and she had no wish to guide a man who'd lost his way. You sought salvation in her eyes, but no woman can save a man who's lost his soul. You bled your essence, hoping she'd mend you, but she wasn't your healer. She was your mirror, reflecting the void you'd forged. By emptying yourself for her, you lost the fire that made you whole. Did she ever love you, or just love what you gave up to keep her? Did she drift away, or did you drive her by becoming someone you weren't? The maze consumed you. You no longer knew yourself. Your laughter, once bold, turned cautious, shaped to please her. Your strength, once a pillar, crumbled under her indifference. You tried to be what she wanted, softer, more present, more yielding, but the more you changed, the less she cared. You were a stranger in your own skin, a man who'd traded his soul for a fleeting glance. The leash was no longer a symbol, it was your truth, a chain you wore willingly, its weight crushing your spirit. Your world shattered. Her indifference, her tests, her absence, they weren't random. They were mirrors of your weakness, storms sent to test your walls. You crumbled not because she was cruel, but because you'd built your life on sand. The pain was unbearable, not because you lost her, but because you lost yourself trying to keep her. In the wreckage you saw the truth. Power is not given. It is claimed. You met her tests with desperation, pleading texts, angry outbursts, tearful confessions. You sent a late-night message begging for answers, only to meet silence. You raised your voice, thinking passion would sway her, but it only widened the gulf. Each reaction was a crack in your foundation, a sign you were unsteady, unmoored. You thought you showed love, but you showed chaos. Her silences lengthened. Her replies grew colder, each one a verdict. You were not the man she could trust to stand firm. The storm came and you didn't just bend, you broke. You tried to salvage it, to gather the shards of her affection. You apologized for faults you didn't own, vowed to change, offered to be whatever she needed. But each concession was a surrender, each vow a lie to yourself. You stood at her door in thought or in truth, pleading for a chance, but the door stayed shut. The collapse wasn't just her leaving, it was you seeing you'd given her the power to define you. The storm didn't destroy you, it exposed you, a man without a center, a king without a throne. Women test to find the unyielding, the man whose strength shields against chaos. Your outbursts, your pleas, your anger proved you were fragile, a reed snapping in the wind. Her biology seeks the man who stands like stone, not one who sways with every gust. Your chaos was a warning, a signal you couldn't guard her from the world or yourself. Your desperation flashed like a sign, you are my center. She felt it and recoiled, her mind marking your need as a loss of worth. A woman cannot desire a man who needs her more than she needs him. Your reactions made you a burden she didn't want to bear. The storm was not her, it was you raging against your own lack of anchor. You fell because you built your life around her, not yourself. Your soul, once a fortress, became a ruin, its walls toppled by your own hands. You sought her to rebuild you, but no one can restore a man who's forgotten his own design. Let her rage, let her test, hold the line. A storm that can't move you learns to respect you. Silence is your shield, a pause louder than a cry. When she pushes, don't pull. When she withdraws, don't chase. Stand still and let her feel the weight of your presence, not the turmoil of your need. You didn't see it then. You thought her tests were rejection, her silences malice. You fought to prove yourself to win her back, but every fight was a defeat. You argued, explained, bared your soul, thinking she'd see your truth. But she saw only your storm, a man drowning in his own tides. You stood amid the ruins of your life, surrounded by the debris of your choices, and grasped the truth. You didn't lose her. You lost yourself. The storm was your teacher, its lesson brutal, but clear. A man without power is a man without purpose. From the ashes you see clearly. Power lies not in her validation, but in your sovereignty. You are not her servant, you are your own master. Schopenhauer observed, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he doesn't love solitude, he will not love freedom." Your strength is your stillness, your purpose, your crown. You rebuild not for her, but for yourself, brick by brick, until you stand in a fortress of your own forging. You stop chasing. You stop explaining. You stop seeking her approval. You turn inward, crafting a life of discipline, ambition, direction. You rise early, forge your body, hone your mind, chase your goals with unyielding focus. You speak less, but your words carry weight. You give less, but your presence is a gift. You grow selective, not desperate, choosing who enters your world. She notices not because you told her, but because you became undeniable, a man whose light casts shadows she can't escape. You master your emotions, not ruled by them. When she tests, you don't flinch. When she pulls away, you don't pursue. You observe, wait, hold your ground. You meet her anger with calm, her silence with patience, her chaos with order. Your anger sharpens, not scatters. Your joy draws, not clumsies. You become a paradox, warm, yet composed, present, yet elusive. She senses your strength not in your words, but in your silence, your stillness, your refusal to bend. Attraction thrives on polarity. Feminine chaos seeks masculine order, a haven for her storms. When you stand unmoved by her tests, her instincts pull her closer. She doesn't want your weakness. She wants your direction, the man who leads without forcing, guides without clinging. Your stillness signals safety, strength. Scarcity creates value. Your absence, restraint, selective attention make you rare. She pursues what she cannot fully hold, her mind, captivated by the man who keeps his own center. Your silence is a canvas, her imagination painting you as more, not less. Your mission is your soul. She longs to join a man with a story beyond romance, a purpose brighter than her fleeting whims. When your world is rich, disciplined, alive, she fights to enter it, not because you need her, but because you choose her. The leash is gone. The throne is reclaimed. You stand in a fortress, your presence, its walls, your purpose, its core. She doesn't enter because you pleaded, she enters because you became a man she cannot overlook. You redefine your life. You set boundaries not just with her, but with the world. You reject distractions, drama, anything that pulls you from your path. You invest in yourself, your skills, health, vision. Knowing a man who builds his own world draws others in. You walk with purpose, steps deliberate, gaze steady. She sees it, feels it, senses the change. You are no longer the man who knelt. You are the man who stands unshakable, a king in his own realm. You thought she was your mirror, your salvation. You were wrong. You didn't lose her. You lost the man you became to keep her. The lie was this: love is not surrender. Love is a battlefield, and the man who kneels for it forgets how to stand for himself. Now you see, power is not loud. It is silent, composed, and unshakable. You don't chase her, you choose her. You don't beg for her time, you grant her yours. You don't live for her approval, you live for your mission, and she follows the man who knows his path. If you've walked through this fire, comment below. No man should break alone. Join the Philosoul channel. This is where men rebuild. If this truth woke something in you, share it. Another man is still sleeping. This is where the illusion ends and the kingdom begins.
Thank you for watching. Walk your path with quiet strength.